So now let's fast forward. You are, a couple years in and you just wrote a book.
I did. The big rage right now is ChatGPT and AI, and people are using it in businesses. And of course, I'm like everybody else. I jumped on the bandwagon. But there's an investor I know who's out of Mississippi who was very successful in marketing and in real estate investing, and he's the one who started posting about AI on my feeds and ChatGPT, and I got interested in it. So I went on the ChatGPT site one day. I signed up. It's free to use the free version. There is a paid version that's a little more advanced, and I started playing around with it. And it's amazing because the technology allows you to put in like some kind of prompt, like tell me you'll put it in like tell me the 5 zip codes in Baltimore that had the most home sales in 2023, and it instantly pulls it up the zip codes and the number of sales. Like it pulls it all from the web and from wherever else it gets it. So I said to myself, why not take this and write a book using it about using it for real estate? So I wrote a book called ChatGPT for Real Estate Investors, and it's very simple. I had it create about 1,000 different prompts, but I broke it into categories. I had it create me a chapter of prompts about for finding motivated sellers, a chapter for finding buyers for wholesale deals, a chapter for finding doing market research, etc. There was about 8 or 9 chapters. I don't remember how many total. And then I added a couple bonuses. I had it list out 100 top selling real estate books so that people can just pull them up and get them or whatever. And then I had a there was another bonus chapter in there too on resources that I just listed out all the resources. And I went in and, the thing with ChatGPT is you can't just have it do it and then just slap it up on Amazon or wherever and sell it. You got to go in and edit it.
Hmm.
You want to make sure you're not plagiarizing anyone. I'm a writer by trade, so it was a little bit easier for me to go in and write an introduction about myself and kind of, organize it. And put a little character in it because AI doesn't really have much of a personality unless you give it one. So I went in and edited it, and then I spent a few bucks on Fiverr to have it formatted correctly for Amazon as a Kindle ebook. I created a cover myself because I have that skill, and I threw it up on Amazon, and it started selling. And when it was only selling a few units here and there, I hired a publicist to get me up to higher rankings. So I spent a little bit of money on that, and her team was able to get me to number one in 5 different categories. And what that does is it gives me a little bit of clout now. I can say I'm a best-selling author, and it boosts the sales a little bit. But getting back to the whole Chat GPT thing, I use it every day, and I think anyone who's in this business and wants to scale and wants to really get more efficient and streamline things, there's ways to do it. You can't, and I learned the hard way that you can't just throw in like random prompts because it's the information you get back from AI and from ChatGPT, and there's also there's Google has it too. It's called Bard, which is their version of ChatGPT. Which anyone who has a Google account, it's free, so you just go in there and do it. The stuff you get back from ChatGPT or from any AI interface is only as good as what you put into it. So I noticed that a lot of the stuff I was putting in was kind of garbage. It just wasn't good content. So Brent, again, the guy from Mississippi, he has a newsletter out there, and I was reading through his newsletter one day, and he created what's called super prompts, and you basically give it a context and give it like a list of steps to get to what you need, and it's pretty amazing. Like it's unbelievable what AI spits back to you after you enter that stuff. It's incredible, and you can use it for. I mean, it's not just for real estate; it's for any business really, and even in your personal life, there's probably ways to do it too.
So, what are some of the downfalls of AI and trying to implement it into your business besides the lack of personality or whatever, like actual functional pieces of it? What are there? What is the downfalls?
There's a couple downfalls, especially like for example, if you're using the basic version of ChatGPT, it only pulls data up to 2021. So you have to pay a little extra to get the up to date data. So you're dealing with older data sometimes. I think that again, like I was talking about, if you just put in random stuff, you're not gonna. It's garbage in, garbage out. So you really have to learn how to craft it for your business. Now, one nice thing is that you can craft to create like business plans and marketing plans, and it's kind of nice to have that out there. But I think the other issue is that there's so many AI apps now that have been spun out of that. I mean, there's thousands of them, and some are better than others. And people worry about how AI is taking over jobs and stuff like that. So you have to be wary of that. But I also think that if you're not learning how to use it, that's another kind of slippery slope. I think the people that are learning how to use it are advancing a lot faster in their businesses than some of these other, and big companies are spending billions on doing it. And they're, Nike and Under
Hmm.
Armour and all these companies are using it in everything now. You pretty much can't go anywhere now where something hasn't been AI generated.
Do
What
you, Go ahead.
which app exactly are you using?
I mainly use ChatGPT, but there's a lot of different apps for like imaging. There's a good app for writing called Jasper, which
I've heard of that
a
one.
lot of people are using to write books and blogs and stuff like that. There's apps for SEO. There's a really cool thing that's a plugin for ChatGPT that I use. It's called AIPRM, and what it is a bunch of developers have created these little they're like mini apps within that you can access. You just search for something, and like if I want to, learn how to do SEO better for my website, I'll punch that in, and like there'll be like 9 of these little mini apps that are created by random people that you can use within the interface, and it's kind of cool. It's a little more specialized. It's just, I mean, so much stuff has been spun out. I mean, there's an Instagram account two Instagram accounts I follow that have like almost 1 million followers now, and they're basically just chat GPT tips all day long. That's
Hmm.
all they do.
Do you think it will have any negative effects like on society as a whole or on like the economy based on, it taking jobs, it's doing things better than certain people like, even lawyers and stuff like that. It's writing documents now. Not that lawyers are hurting for money, but I'm sure there's other, copywriters and stuff like that that could be getting hurt like this. And obviously, I think part of the whole like Hollywood strike was them
Yep.
striking because this stuff can easily replace even just the voice. I mean,
Yep.
it can take a couple of our episodes of podcasts and recreate podcasts without us even saying, and it just sounds exactly like you. Do you have any of those kind of concerns overall for just AI in general?
Well, you've seen Terminator, right?
Yes.
No, but seriously, one of the things that I found interesting, my daughter is a senior in high school, and we did all these college visits this past year. And one thing they were telling us in the informational meeting is that the colleges are really cracking down on kids who are using AI to write their applications and write their college essays. And there's software that detects it, and that's a little, again, like when I wrote this book, I went in and made sure that nothing was plagiarized. There's an app that can check for plagiarism too, but that's a big concern. You mentioned lawyers, but it is interesting. There's a big debate in the legal community right now about using AI because documents vary from state to state. And when you're creating documents with AI, they have to be, compatible with whatever state they're in, and they have to, cover everything, and they still have to be reviewed. So there's always that danger. And yes, jobs can be replaced. I mean, especially writing jobs. My book is one of many out there that has been written with the help of AI, and now Amazon is even asking if the book was written with AI. I don't know what that means because it hasn't really affected me, but they are. I'm sure they're collecting data on that.
Right. Yeah, I just think about all of the people that have creative jobs that could be potentially eliminated, and like the lawyer thing. I mean, not that a chat bot can replace a real lawyer, but like just a quick example is the other day I took a private loan from somebody for a rental property, and
How
I
much?
literally don't worry about it. And that's all I did. I typed in Chat GPT. I built a little agreement. I just said Maryland's based, agreement for private lending. And I looked at another one that the title companies charged me probably $200 to write,
That's
and
cheap.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same, literally almost the same exact thing. It doesn't need much, and that's just one way of saving money. But in the long run, if enough people do that, it could ruin certain industries. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
absolutely.
saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's kind of scary how fast it's grown.
Right. It went from 0 to 100
Yeah,
really quick.
yeah. I mean, 0 to 1 million really quick. I
Yeah.
mean, it's nuts.
I mean, just like 2 years ago, no one had any idea this was like nobody. I feel like me, like normal, technological people, or whatever, even knew what this stuff was. And then one day we were just like, boom, there's an app that will write a book for you in 25 minutes. Like that's literally what happened. It seemed like it didn't really take much time at all for it to just appear and be like a thing that everybody can use.
Yeah, but I mean, like with the book thing, though, I mean, it's only as good as the concept and the personality you put into it. Again, I mean, that is a big, like I was saying earlier, it's a big drawback of, especially of ChatGPT, is it's very robotic unless
Right.
you make it unrobotic.
Like the prompts you're saying have to be very creative in
Yeah,
a sense of like what you want.
And
to-
so
for them
that was
to
like the way I
put out.
structured my book. I structured it very basic, and I even say in the book that these prompts are just like they're a baseline. They're just a foundation. You need to expand on them. You're not going to, each one in its own is not going to get you to where you need to be. You need to build on them, and that's the beauty of it. Is that if you learn how to build on each of these prompts, and the cool thing about ChatGPT is like I have a whole window off to the side where all the ones I've done are still in there, and if I go back to them, it'll build on what I put in there before.
Right.
So it's kind of cool, and that it's again, it's only as good as what you put in there. If you're just putting in 1 or 2 sentences, you're not going to get much back out of it.
So what's like an example of something that has been game changing for you specifically by using this software in your actual business?
I think, one thing I said earlier about, finding out the zip codes that have the most home sales. I mean, that helps me. And yes, you can go on Google and find that, but this does it a lot faster because it puts it all in one quick document. I've used it to put together some project planning, marketing plans, that kind of stuff that kind of keeps me on point and keeps me focused. Again, the writing part of it, writing, I do a lot of social media. I have it write a lot of my posts. I give it kind of the context and what I'm all about and who I'm trying to reach, and it spits it out for me. And then I go in and edit them, and that saves me a lot of time because if you do a lot of social media, you know that it's really time consuming.
Yeah.
And that's I do a lot of business on social media. I mean, Facebook is a good lead generator for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now I'm trying to build Instagram a little bit more than I have in the past, and I'm starting to see some push through from that. I'm starting to reach a lot more people on Instagram just because I'm posting a lot more frequently, but I can only do that because I'm using AI to help me write the posts and write the content a lot faster, and give me the ideas for the content as well. So I think that's important as well. The deals are going to come in. I don't know how much more I can do it for wholesaling. I'm trying to find ways to be better at lead generation and stuff like that. And I haven't found the secret sauce yet for that, but it's out there. You just got to keep playing with it for sure. And I spend 2 to 3 hours a day just playing around with ChatGPT and figuring out what I can do with it.
I do think it's a good like education piece, something that you can talk back and forth with. And the only issue that I have is if some of the information is wrong and then you're reading wrong information. You're like,
Yep.
You thought you were learning all this stuff and it just happens that it's all wrong because the internet is not all right. That's my concern with
Yep.
it overall. It's like how many BS websites are out there that are posting things that are completely idiotic or not true, or even just opinions, right? Because it could be pulling from blogs that are completely opinionated. They're not facts. Like, who's auditing the
If
information?
the internet says it's true, it's true. Just Google it.
Just Google it.
Yeah, well, I think that's ChatGPT is no different from the internet in that respect because that's always been like that.
Right, but like you said, with it putting it into one document, it really feels real.
Exactly.
It feels more real than when you pull up a website that has ads for dick pills or whatever else on it, and you're like, okay, this is not a real thing. But with that, it really does. It puts it into a PDF style format where you're like, oh, has to be real. It looks like a book to me. So that's what's concerning is that people might take that to heart, where as a true fact, and it might be not so true.
That is a really good point. I mean, it's not necessarily just an easy button
Right.
that's going to solve all your problems. I mean, I don't want to say I'm different than other people, but I approach it by having it give me like the basics that I need, and then I build on that. And I mean, I go in and edit everything, and I fact
Right.
check, and because I'm from a family of lawyers, so that's just me. I mean, I would never do anything that would jeopardize my business, and I would strongly recommend to anyone using it, and especially using it for anything that has legal repercussions. Always
Right.
sit
That
down with an attorney, get it all checked out. Don't do anything without doing that.
there's got to be, I think, in the future too, and maybe they have to, they meaning the developers, or whatever, have to figure out a way to like audit the information or only have it pulled from certain places that are more based on facts. But of course, like that's, next to impossible almost on the internet. But I do think that, with the simple stuff, like for me, I've used it to write letters to tenants that are late on water bills
It's a
or
good
late
one.
on rent. Write me a letter for this person. This is the rent amount. Blah blah blah. They write me a letter. Done. Send it out. Put it on my letterhead and it's done. Simple stuff like that. I just worry about people using it for more like, you use it for a science project at school and it's just all bullshit, like the whole thing. And then you
Yeah,
turn it
yeah.
in because it's just, you do have the generation that's coming up, the high school kids now, they're going to be using it. They're going to be recklessly using it, I'm sure, and not fact checking and stuff. So I think there is going to be some interesting, rules and regulations and maybe some other software to audit the current software, like you're saying, has to come out before teachers can even know that anything's real.
Yeah, that's actually the school thing we touched on earlier. That is a big issue, and I can tell you, my daughter.
I'd be cheating my ass
Well,
off.
and it's funny that you say that because my daughter's a straight A student, and I never really worry about it. But she did say that a lot of the kids, especially in language classes, are using, and this is even before AI, they're using Google Translate to
Right.
do everything. I didn't have that luxury in 1980 or whatever the heck
Right.
it was. I mean, I'm pretty old, but a lot of those kids are doing that, and again, the schools are really going through essays and being very careful. And there is software out there that can audit and detect
But it's
plagiarism.
also new.
But yeah, exactly.
It's
And it's
also
it's
new.
definitely a dilemma for the schools for
Yeah,
sure.
100%. I used to be a teacher. My wife's still a teacher. And I told her, I was like, she's in third grade, so it's probably not happening, just yet. But those middle high school teachers, like they're going to have no idea what hit them when all these essays start coming in, especially if it's new students that you don't really know. You don't know how good they are. So if they set the precedent in the first day that they're like this awesome writer and they just have ChatGPT doing it, I mean, they can literally have it done on their phone, like in the bathroom. It's so easy to do this now for kids and they're going to be better than us and your
Oh,
generation
no
at
doubt.
this, like in no time. I mean, that's their technology. That's what they do. They do technology. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see, what happens. But I do think there's going to be some negative consequences as well as all the positive ones
Yeah, no
with
doubt.
the AI just in general.